So usually during the animation process, we're shooting at 24 frames per second. During that process, we sometimes have to elevate a character or a prop to make it jump or fly through the air. You know, if you were running and somebody stops you and you're suspended at the peak of that travel, you would have to have something holding you up. So that's what the rigging department does. They hold up the puppets or they hold up the props. And we do that using very precise and incremental mechanics. So there will be wires and there will be rigs in shot and they will get painted out by the scene team. It's kind of like the strings on a marionette puppet.
Actually, we're learning about it in school.
This is Grandma, and she's a really good example of how the puppets interact with the rigs. She's a ghost, so she's always floating and she's spinning. At the base of her, we have her on a swivel, so the animator can swivel her around and kind of get a real fluid motion. Underneath her, we have a rig that moves her up and down, and we've got side to side and front and back. We build these all in-house, and they give the animator real fine, precise control over what they're doing.
I was never one for frolicking.
What we also do in the rigging department is we do some of the more specialised kind of puppetry. One of the examples in ParaNorman would have been the toilet paper zombies, making toilet paper defy gravity.
There's a guy called Brian who spent probably a year developing toilet paper and how to animate toilet paper and how to make toilet paper work in the light. And he started off with just simple things like toilet paper flapping and worked his way up to toilet paper flying around a room. And then eventually he was creating fully articulated zombies out of toilet paper.
There's not a lot of reference on toilet paper zombies out there in the world. The challenge of these characters was to kind of get them to look like they're made out of paper, you know, and not an armatured puppet.
You really need someone to focus on an element like that and really dig their teeth into it and get really passionate about it.
So here we have an example of one of our most extensive rigging jobs on ParaNorman, and it was the sequence where the zombies rise. They're bursting out of the ground and there's soil flying everywhere. What we have here is a puppet that is rigged underneath the set, and it was a real challenge to kind of have them burst out the ground and have all these kind of articulated pieces of soil that break up and fly across the set. And we also had a few little kind of plasticine pads where we could kind of apply scratch marks in the soil. So as they're clawing their way out of the hole, they can leave these kind of damaged pieces of ground in their wake. The very smallest thing that we rigged on the show was these tiny little pieces of zombie snot that fly out of their mouths and out of their noses. You might not necessarily approach a sequence like this with so much detail and so many physics through practical means. You might use a bit more computer technology. But I think what's really interesting about ParaNorman is the way that they've incorporated, as far as it can go, the sense of there being real things on set, in shot at the time of shooting. You get a live performance.